Hello friends, welcome back to another session with me Sanyukta Saxena, a certified Zentangle teacher, and we have been running these series of sessions on Zentangle original patterns which have been originally given by the Zentangle headquarters, and we try each one new pattern in each of our session and then draw a tile together using this pattern and a couple of more patterns to go along. So in today's session we will be learning a pattern called static, a very simple line based pattern, can be used both as a filler and as a standalone pattern. And just like other Zentangle patterns, just one stroke, a line, and anybody who can draw a line can draw the pattern, right? So let us first learn how to draw it and then we shall draw a tile together using the pattern. So static is a pattern that starts like a zigzag, right? So this is how the pattern starts, and then you just need to aura these lines, right? So just looks like something electric or probably a weave or something like that. Acts as an excellent filler, can be used as a standalone tangle also. I shall show you few tiles where you can understand how you can use the same pattern differently, how you can make the same pattern look different by a small variation. So this is the basic Tangle Static. So what I have done is just drawn a zigzag and then added auras, right? Now how do you generally play around? Add some weight here, right? Or you can add some weight on one side and then shade that side. So I'm just adding some weight on one side of the line, right? So that's one way. You can also ink it and add a sparkle. Ink alternate set of lines and then add a sparkle. Something like this that I'm talking about, right? You can also add auras, orbs, or some other pattern, simple patterns between the lines, right? So how do we generally shade the pattern? We shade on the one side, right? So it's about high and low, darkening one side so that they look like a fold there, right? So the ink is still wet, so just blending to give an idea how the pattern would look like when shaded on one side, right? So you can see the difference. So is it that they have to be straight lines only, drawn in such a fashion only? No, you can always add curve to the lines. For example, you can draw it like this, right? And then add auras. I'll show you a tile to give an idea how it would look, right? Is it that they have to be equal? No, you can always draw static like this, right? So again add auras. Let me show you a few tiles and you will get a better picture of how to use it. So this is a tile where I have given a curve to the lines, right? So a few more patterns to go along. So this pattern is static and Indirella transcended over it. Again, this is a tile, rain in the center, some tipple, and this is static on both sides. The only enhancement here is on these corners, on these turnings, where I have added some weight as I showed to you, right? And the high and low shading. Again, this is static along with ing. You can see how the same pattern is being used differently with triply ing, and this is static. Again, one small enhancement. And there is one more thing that you can see here. I have just changed the pens, used an 08 and an 01 alternatively, and you can see how different the look is, right? Just changing of nib size, and added some mocha. And this is again an arrangement of static in a different way. So two strands of static and the space in between has been used for a Wells tangulation. and some diva dance. This is a fun tile that I had drawn long back. This is again static, used as, you know, in the corner as a border or something like that, along with Hollis. The center of attraction of this tile was actually Hollis, but it does use static in a, you know, very different way. That's why I thought of showing it to you. So these are some of the ways in which you can use the pattern. So today we'll be drawing another tile. This is a regular 3.5 inch square tile, and I shall be using the pattern static and a few more tangles, right? So let us start right away. So I'm going to draw a zigzag, something like this, right? And then I'm going to start oraing right away. So just keep rotating your tile. I couldn't have rotated my scrapbook that way, but it's much easier to draw the pattern if you rotate your tile. Your hand doesn't have to move much from its comfort position, right? So 2 lines, and then I'm going to introduce the tangle in the diva dance here. So I'm going to introduce this curvy line in between my static, right? So again, add some weight here and there. Right, and then again add a line, second line. You already know the pattern diva dance. This is the waltz version, which is drawn in a straight line, right? Another aura, so go slow, take your time. You can always draw inside the static, and then I'm going to add one more aura to my static. So don't think much. Whichever space you have, whatever space you have, just draw your static that way. Right, so now again I'm going to add another aura. So first some weights here and there, random, wherever you feel like. Right, then another line of aura. So one more line. So I'm just weaving my static and my diva dance together, nothing else, right? And then again I'll add to my static. So you can see how simple lines can make up a great pattern. How do they look once you combine it with different patterns in a tile? I've already shown you a couple of them, so That's the fun part of Zentangle. Patterns which are very simple to draw. Anybody can draw and create beautiful pieces of artwork that is unbelievable to your own eyes. Right? So I'm going to continue this process. I think you got a hang of it by now. Just weaving my diva dance and my static together. Right? So as you can see here, I am almost finishing the process. I have been doing the same thing, adding auras and weaving my diva dance in between, and I am almost finishing the process. Right? So that's how our static looks when woven with the diva dance. Right? Now rest of the tile entirely up to us. What do we want to do? So let us introduce a marasu here. So you can draw any other pattern of your choice. Please go ahead. I feel like drawing the pattern marasu here, so it's entirely up to you which pattern you want to introduce. Right? So I'm going to be drawing marasu, and as we have already learned this process, this tangle, I'm sorry, so I'm going to divide this spiral into sections, and then marasu involves inking of these sections. Right? So trying to avoid placing two sections exactly under each other. Right? So take your time. If you can think of some other tangle that you would like to introduce here, please go ahead. Right? So I'm now going to be inking these sections with a highlight. So I'll just show you one or two. We already know how it is done. I've already used marasu in my tiles earlier. So this is how I'm going to do. Going to leave a highlight in between and ink the rest. Like this. Right? So I'm going to continue like this. So continuing with the same process of inking my marasu, named after Maria and her sisters. The pattern adds great drama to your tile because of bold ink portions. Right? So we are done with inking the marasu. Now what do we want to do with the rest of the tile? Let us add the recently learned pattern cuboid. So rest of the tile you can use plethora of patterns. Please go ahead with patterns of your choice. I am drawing patterns which I feel like at the moment, so it's entirely up to you. What do you want to draw? Go slow, drawing behind these tiny mushroom like shapes or heads. The pattern cuboid that we learned recently. Very simple pattern to draw. Right, so just moving in any direction, not thinking much, drawing behind a lot. Right, so that's the tangle cuboid. You can keep adding any number that you want, so entirely up to you. Yeah, and you can either leave this part empty, or probably you can add a small Bronx cheers here. Right, so I'm going to be adding a small Bronx cheers here. We already know how to draw the pattern, so draw a knob, fill it up, leave a portion white as a highlight. Don't try to fill it up too systematically. Leave some white portions which help to differentiate one off from the other. Right, so you can always extend this more so that it is touching your marasu. Right, so I think that's about it. So let us start to shade our tile now. If you want, you can go on adding more. I don't feel the need to. So I'm going to add graphite here. Right. As I told you, lines which are going down, I wish to show them as receding so that they look like folded there. Right, so added some graphite. Then you can add some, just a touch on these folds, not much. Wherever the diva dance is going low, you can add some. Right, and then on the marasu, so we'll add on both sides of these sections. Right, and then a little here. You can't really add too much here, so just a touch. Right, so let us start blending. So I'm going to blend this on one side, darken one side of the static. right? And then a slight touch on the diva dance wherever there is a dip, probably. You can also do away with shading your diva dance if you don't feel like, it's okay. Right, so just a touch where there are dips, not much. Yeah, and then moving on to the marasu. We don't need to add a highlight here. We generally use a chalk to add a highlight if we are inking the entire marasu, the sections. Since we have already left a highlight, it is optional to again re-emphasize it with a chalk. Right, and then probably a little here. Don't really need to do much with bronze chair except add little shadow below your bronze chair, not much of shading required here. And then blend to add little gray to your cuboid. Right, so you can always add some graphite in the top layer. And the last thing I would do is to add some tipples here and there, come pretty handy as a filler, and they mostly look nice to fill up some odd empty spaces here and there. Right, so you may not, it's up to you. Right, so that's our tile for today. You can add some highlight on the heads of these cuboid if you wish to. They would pop up, but again it's optional. There are other ways of highlighting your cuboid. We've already done that in our previous session. Right, so added a few. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to close my tile, pick up my chalk and highlight a few troughs and the peaks of my diva dance. Not the troughs, the peaks. Yeah, wherever there is a upper fold. Entirely optional, you may not. And again you can, if you wish, add some chalk here. Right, so there is no limit to what you can do. You have to stop somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. Right, so let us close our tile here. I'm going to put my chalk and then delete it. So we will meet again with another Zentangle original, right? And till then, take care, bye bye, stay safe, and do subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. Follow me on my Facebook page and YouTube channel and Instagram, right? Thank you, bye bye.